Some people call these laws of nature. Some call them spiritual laws. They're the laws that were not conceived by a human. They are unseen laws that govern our lives. And I think it's a good idea that we understand them so we can move forward with the important job of living our best lives. Welcome to Calm in the Chaos, where, like Isaac Newton, we do know that there are unseen laws that govern us. There's a spiritual law called the law of timing. When we pray for, or hope for, or yearn for something to happen, a healing, an event to occur, or an actual material thing to appear, we're sending out our desires into the cosmos. Buddhist teachings tell us that to reduce our desires and our yearnings is a good thing, for doing so will in turn reduce our suffering. We should accept what is and not desire things to be different. And that's a goal that I admire. But in the meantime, we need to accept that our prayers, our desires, our longings are being heard by the spiritual realm, and all of them, our prayers, every one of them, even though they're unvoiced, are being heard and they will be answered. But we don't know when or how, and that is the law of timing. The maxim that helps us could be patience is a virtue, but only when it's tried. The universe knows when we need to learn a certain lesson, and it will not only provide the teacher, it will also present the materials for the lesson. The hard part is waiting for it to happen. The law of timing. There's a law of vibration that governs how everything moves, vibrates, resonates with every other living thing. When the hippies said that they felt good vibes from a new friend, it might have been literally true. The aura of movement, the frequency that each of us emits, may indeed be a frequency that resonates with our friends. Now, physics informs us that every single thing, you, your door, your car key, your dog, your fork, has a vibration to it. And knowing how our frequency changes with our mood, and then knowing what to do about it, really helps us learn to live our lives in a higher frequency. Higher frequencies are living in a state of joy, love, peace, calm. And when we're unusually sad, angry, or hateful, we live at a lower frequency. And this is the law of vibration. What does this mean, living at a lower frequency? Well, are any of you old enough to remember mood rings? The stone in this ring would change color depending on the mood of the person wearing it. Apparently, our body temperature affected whatever liquid was inside the ring, and the temperature would change slightly with our moods. It's akin to changing the frequency of the vibrations that we emit. We are actively creating the environment around us all the time. Now, I'm all for trying to create an environment of calm and acceptance. It's not easy, but it's my goal. Another spiritual law that we may want to understand is the law of reciprocity. What I send out into the universe by way of my thoughts, my actions, and my words is returned to me in a greater way. Our Christian neighbors read the words in the chapter 15 of Deuteronomy. It says, "Give generously to them and do so without a grudging heart. Then because of this, the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and everything you put your hand to." This law could be called the universal law of exchange. Giving is difficult for many of our neighbors right now with programs that are being cut that lead them to food insecurity and housing problems. But this law is not only about material things. All of us can give the gifts of attention, appreciation, and time to one another and thus to the universe. There's a woman in my life who's not particularly huggy and fuzzy. She doesn't visit with family members often, and she never entertains in her own home. But before every holiday, Halloween, Easter, all of them, I receive a greeting card in the mail, a real card, envelope, stamp, the whole thing. And that addresses to me that she's thinking of me and caring about me. It's the way she loves me. Inside each card is a prayer that she's copied and inserted without intending to. She is following the law of reciprocity. See, her intention is not to do something so she can receive something back. She sends cards to show how she cares. The universe takes care of the reciprocity part. The law of spiritual balance is important for us to understand because balancing, asking something of spirit with giving something, is the deal. It's not an equal exchange by any means. It's a state of mind and a state of energy and of our being. Doing something every day to make someone else's life better can be as simple as pausing to send loving energy to them, or handing them a flower, or looking into their eyes and smiling. It's our sacred responsibility to share with the world what it is we have. Amal and the Night Visitors is a story told in opera form about a young boy who greets three wise kings at his door. Now, it's a fictional story, but it has its roots in biblical sacred writings. He and his mother are quite poor, as are most of the people in his village, and yet they realize the almost unbelievable event of these three men on a journey to visit a special boy, and they share what they have. The villagers, upon hearing of these visitors, bring dates and nuts and pomegranates, and when they arrive to see the kings, they play their flutes and they dance for them. They offer what they have, and they offer who they are. No apologies for not having something on the same level as the kings have with their gifts for the child they're going to meet. No gold, no frankincense, no myrrh, just some fruit and nuts and dances. What we give diminishes as we focus on the intention of sharing ourselves within our means and that we give. This leads me to sharing the karmic law of the universe. What our souls accumulate in the world depends on how we respond to events and people. In the earth based tradition of Wicca, one of the basic tenets is called the rule of three. Whatever energy a person puts into the world will be returned to that person threefold. Believing that is enough to make me consider how often I allow disgust, hatred, or judgment to enter my heart, knowing the threefold rule. The final spiritual law for today is what some might call a spiritual eye. The eye that is our internal overseer, the foreman of our lives. We might call it a conscience. Some call it having integrity or intuition. It's the way our souls monitor themselves, helping us to do what's right when no one is looking. Knowing that stealing, lying, gossiping doesn't feel right after the fact, knowing that our gut is a reliable source to guide us. I know the uneasy feeling of having spoken too sharply to someone. I know the uneasy feeling of having told a lie. That's the law of the spiritual eye, watching out for me, telling me, hey, come clean up your act. When we find ourselves angry, frustrated, terrified of a human law that has just been broken by our leaders, or when we hear of a law being passed that will undo a wonderful program that builds our community into a richer, more productive, more educated populace, we can take a breath, step back, and remember There are spiritual laws that are unbreakable laws of the universe, the laws that simply are. No human created them. They were not mandated or enacted by a committee. They are the laws that have been in effect longer than any government or collection of human beings. We can count on these laws. We know they will not be destroyed by anyone. And we can focus on this greater sense of how comforting it is to know that these laws govern far greater realms. I open my heart to the realm of consciousness where all ideas and thoughts live. May I grow in awareness of what could be, and may I find vulnerability and openness to allow myself into that space of understanding and honoring the spiritual laws. Blessings on all.